YouTube, it's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, we got some good news, as it looks like the postponement of the purse bid for undefeated 3-division world champion, former junior welterweight undisputed world champion, who currently is the WBO welterweight world champion, widely considered by many to be the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, in Terence Crawford, and two-time welterweight world champion superstar boxer Showtime Shawn Porter. The purse bid was scheduled for today at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it since was postponed. And according to the WBO, World Boxing Organization, Terence Crawford's team, Shawn Porter's team, they asked for an extension, a 14-day extension, so they can negotiate the fight. The WBO, we know, they ordered this fight. They gave them 30 days, and it was going to a purse bid, which would see Terence Crawford get a 60% and Shawn Porter get 40%. So, with that said, we now know that they have already begun negotiations once again on their own, as the 30-day limit passed. That's the reason why it was going to be a purse bid today at 2 p.m. But I believe that they may have gotten word that there was a bidder coming in, a promoter going to come in and bid on this fight and take it out of their hands. That being legendary promoter, top-ranked CEO and promoter Bob Arum, who promotes Terence Crawford, ESPN, and PBC, Premier Boxing Champions, founder and advisor Al Heyman, who promotes or advises Shawn Porter. So with that said, I believe that, you know, they were under the understanding that there could possibly be a major player stepping up to the plate that could interrupt their plans. When he goes to a purse bid, they take it out of the promoter's hands. They don't have a choice. The fighters don't have a choice in what network they go to. The promoters don't have a choice. Now the promoters, Bob Arum case, he will still get his percentage. Al Heyman's case, maybe he'll get a percentage from Shawn Porter as well. But on the record, Bob Arum's, he's going to get at least $750,000. So with that said, now we find out that they are negotiating, and the target date now, we have a target date, November 20th. Okay. So with that said, you know, is interesting because, you know, from the very beginning, this fight should have been negotiated. This fight should have been pretty handily, pretty easily to come to fruition, okay? It shouldn't have been this difficult because we know who the clear A side is in Terence Crawford. We know Shawn Porter is the challenger. He's the clear B side. We know that the WBO has already put a number out there, 60-40. So Terence Crawford, at the very least, is going to get 60%. So since we already know the money should be squared away, unless Terence Crawford is choosing to be generous and give Shawn Porter more money than Shawn Porter is scheduled to make it with the 40%, or you know, they're negotiating a higher pay or something of that nature. For the most part, you know, the money is usually the hardest thing, you know, to negotiate, and the monies have been squared away already, as the WBO already set the bar that Terence Crawford is going to get 40% to Shawn Porter's, 60% to Shawn Porter's 40%. So we already know that to be the case, okay? So with that said, now the target date, according to the reports, is November 20th. We knew the fight could possibly be taking place in November. I was skeptical that, you know, pushing back. We're already in the first week of September, okay? So that's going to give them, you know, a little over a month, you know, to start to promote the fight before, you know, both fighters are always in the best shape of their careers. They're always in tip-top shape. But this is the biggest fight in both guys' careers. Why is this the biggest fight? Obviously, for obvious reasons, in Terence Crawford's career, it's the biggest fight in his career because Terence Crawford has not had that high-profile, legacy-defining fight. Now, he did fight Julius Indongo at junior welterweight for Undisputed, but Julius Indongo is a relatively unknown fighter. When it comes to, you know, Terence Crawford, you know, he's considered the best or top 3 best fighters in the world. And here's a chance for him to legitimize that. Shawn Porter's a surefire future Hall of Famer. Then when you look at Shawn Porter, he had has some of the high-profile fights against high-profile fighters, Hall of Fame fighters. But again, Shawn Porter has come up short in those fights. So now the question is, can Shawn Porter actually get over the hump? Not just compete in these fights, okay? Because Shawn Porter, he's never been blown out in any fight. He's never been knocked out. Shawn Porter, even his fights with Errol Spence, who happens to make up the other half of the biggest fight in the sport of boxing with Terence Crawford. Errol Spence, undefeated, unified, WBC, IBF, welterweight world champion. He is considered to be top 3 best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. And the reason he's the unified champion is because he beat Shawn Porter. Most people thought that Errol Spence was going to walk right through Shawn Porter, and that wasn't the case, okay? It was a very close fight. Was sure it come down to the wire. But in the 11th round, Errol Spence got a knockdown. And in the 12th round, he clearly, decisively won the 12th round, which saw him be the victor. I think that proved to be the difference in the fight. And then Shawn Porter, he fought against former unified welterweight world champion superstar boxer Keith one-time Thurman. And Keith Thurman got a razor-close thin victory, edged it out over Shawn Porter. Some people thought it could have went the other way, but he did enough to separate himself in the fight, just enough to separate himself. And Shawn Porter, once again, he came up short. So with that said, everybody wants to see if Shawn Porter has what it takes to actually get over the hump. He fought Kell Brook. Kell Brook, again, did a lot of excessive holding in the fight, but nonetheless, Shawn Porter made no adjustments, and he came up short in that fight as well. So this is a fight where Shawn Porter, this is his last opportunity to prove that he can get over the hump, or he's going to be viewed as a high-profile gatekeeper. Everybody's going to use him as a barometer. If you can get past Shawn Porter, you can compete with the upper echelon. Shawn Porter is going to press you every second of every minute of every round. And so if you can get past Shawn Porter as a gatekeeper, high-profile, high-priced gatekeeper, then people will start to say, well, yeah, you can compete at the highest level. And Shawn Porter don't want that tag. He don't want to wear that jacket, okay? Shawn Porter, he wants to be viewed as one of the best fighters in the world, okay? Not just, well, Shawn Porter, he didn't get blown out. He never got knocked out. He competed to the very end with everybody, and he got one big win over Danny Garcia, right? Now, he did beat Paulie Malignaggi, Adrian Broner, Andre Berto, Devin Alexander, so he does have some high-profile wins, but at the highest level, he doesn't have that highest-level victory. And so here's a chance for Shawn Porter to prove that he belongs in that conversation, okay? And so with that said, you want Shawn Porter wants to be viewed as the favorite going into a fight, okay? When he fights Errol Spence. He wasn't the favorite against Errol Spence. He wasn't the favorite against Keith Thurman. He wasn't the favorite against Kell Brook. I don't remember for sure if he was or not, but he's definitely not going to be the favorite against Terence Crawford, okay? He got to put himself in a conversation where he can be considered the favorite going into some of these fights, and the only way he's going to do that is to beat Terence Crawford. And Terence Crawford, here's an opportunity to legitimize himself as being considered, a pound-for-pound fighter, and some consider him the best, right? Here's an opportunity for Terence Crawford to do so. And so with that said, we have, a unique situation where both fighters are I believe, going to give their absolute best because, they both understand what's at stake. It's high stakes for both of these guys, right? And that's the reason why I don't think it should have been this difficult to negotiate. I don't think it should have been this difficult to get to fruition, right? I believe when Shawn Porter understood and realized and recognized that this fight is a true, real opportunity, and this is a real reality, and it can happen. And Shawn Porter, he stated he reached out to Terence Crawford. I believe at that point in time, Terence Crawford should have answered the bell and stated that, okay, told his promoter, Bob Arum, who was undercutting Shawn Porter, he should have told Bob Arum, this is a legacy-defining fight for me. I need this fight for my career, and I need you to make it happen by any means, okay? By any cost, not just undercutting him. Well, Shawn Porter don't want to take, $1-2 million, so we're not going to look to negotiate with Shawn Porter no more. No, if you Terence Crawford, you should identify what this does for your legacy, what he does for your career, and what he does for your bank account. Because Shawn Porter, believe it or not, he does a lot for Terence Crawford's bank account. And so, what's to come for Terence Crawford in the future should he get past Shawn Porter? He can make a statement. Terence Crawford can make a statement in this fight that nobody has ever made. Okay, if he was able to knock out, Shawn Porter, able to stop Shawn Porter and knock out Shawn Porter, and do something that nobody else has been able to do, especially his number one rival, that being Errol Spence Jr. He knocked down Shawn Porter in the 11th round, and he clearly won the 12th round, but it was a very close fight, and he needed that 11th and 12th round to be victorious. Well, Terence Crawford has the opportunity to clearly make a statement that, I belong here. I belong in this conversation. And so I don't believe it should have gotten to this point. But nonetheless, November 20th is the target date. Hopefully, they're trying to get a deal done. Again, my issue was I was skeptical because we are already in September, right? You got to promote this fight. Then neither one of these guys are viewed as, big draws. Terence Crawford is not viewed as a major draw, and neither is Shawn Porter. And so because neither one of these guys are viewed as a big draw, right? I believe that they need as much time as possible to promote this fight. Okay, they can't drag their feet. They don't have the luxury of a Manny Pacquiao. They don't have the luxury of a Errol Spence, because their brand is big. They have a huge fan base and a huge following. So Terence Crawford and Shawn Porter, they don't have that. They voided that. So they need as much time as possible to promote this fight. And November's around the corner. We're already in September. And both guys, now, again, like I stated, both guys are always in shape. So I don't believe training camp is going to be an issue for either guy because both guys are in shape. So I don't believe that they're going to need, 8-week, 9-week training camp to get in shape because both of these guys are they stay in shape so they don't have to get in shape. So with that said, I believe that, the time is for promotion, not for just training camp. It's for promotional purposes. They need to do a world tour. They need to go to New York. They need to be in LA. They need to be in Vegas. They need to be everywhere possible that they can draw attention. They need to be in Ohio. They need to be in Nebraska and Omaha. They need to be in Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio with Shawn Porter. They need to do a 6-city tour, press tour, to promote this fight. Because once again, they're not big talkers as well. Terence Crawford's not a big talker. Shawn Porter's not a big. Now Shawn Porter a talk, but he's not a promotional talker. What I mean by he's not going to trash talk Terence Crawford, and Terence Crawford's not going to trash talk him. That's not their forte. So, in order for them to get people to buy in and buy this fight, they're going to need to go on at least a 6-city tour. They're going to need to go to LA. They're going to need to go to New York. They're going to need to go to Las Vegas. They're going to need to go to maybe Miami, Cleveland, Ohio, and Omaha, Nebraska, where they're from, and promote this fight. That's the only way this fight is going to be a major draw. Bob Arum was always skeptical about making fights with Terence Crawford because he just doesn't feel like Terence Crawford is a major draw. So here's the time. So November 20th, they need to get a deal done by this weekend. By Monday, we should be getting an announcement from both guys. And November 20th needs to be the date. Then they have all of September still, all of October to promote it, and still they have nearly 3 months to promote this fight and make it as big as possible. And they need to take a page out of the book of guys like Jake Paul and make it happen. But that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share the videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.
You're watching Blue Blood Sports TV. Wow.